Do you think it matured you a lot? You were only 16 years old when you went in, and you came home and you saw men die and you were firing at soldiers. Do you think it matured you a lot, the experience?
Oh yes, I think so, no doubt of it. Oh my, yes. I saw a lot of life. A long while ago.
Yeah. What do you think the first time you saw a man die in front of your eyes? Do you remember that?
I saw plenty wounded.
Sydney, so. Yeah.
Was there a Sidney Schofield die next to you?
Oh yeah, Schofield. Remember then, he was shot right in the head here. Alongside of me, right near me. I know I was ordered to the squad carry him out and bury him in the road. Poor fella.
It's quite a thing for a boy of 16 to do that.
Yeah. He had, what do you call it when you have a bad feeling in your head? What do you call that?
Premonition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he was going to be hit. He was hit. Carried him out, took a hole, put him in a blanket, shoveled dirt on top of him. Somebody made a sign. Body of, I forget his first name, Sidney was Schofield, died. And the teacher he died. Cover him up again. I wonder if they ever took him home and got him out.
Did you ever have a premonition that you would die there?
No, I didn't.
Never
No.
does.
Yeah.
I was a young kid. I just obeyed orders. That's all I did.
Yeah.
I obeyed orders. I didn't do anything that I did great, not to be the sole survivor of 27,000 men. I can see the 27,000 men. It's hard to believe. They're all gone.
It is hard to believe.
Uh,
This was the first time the United States fought in a war away from its shores other than the Mexican War before then, Mr. Taylor, wasn't it?
before this was
The Civil War was fought in the United States, and
the Mexican War.
Mexican War, yes.
Yeah.
I imagine the Army learned a lot from shipping its troops to Cuba.
Oh my, it certainly did. Yes, that's a fact. Something else I want to tell you, I forgot what it was.
I wanted to ask you about the trenches a little more. Did you have to stay in the trenches for a few days and then you would get relieved? How did that work? Because obviously the trenches were full of water and it was pretty rough. Were you relieved?
No, we weren't relieved. There wasn't enough men to relieve us. Oh, we had to get out once in a while.
That was pretty rough duty there.
It was tough duty.
Yeah.
Tough and rough.
Any incidents where one of your soldiers or men did something tremendously heroic you might tell us?
Well, I can't think of, they were brave men, lots of things reported, lots of things were not reported.
Yes. But a lot of men did lose their lives doing heroic things.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
They did. I saw one thing, I don't know if it was heroic, but it was very lucky as far as I was concerned. Unfortunate for somebody else. Artillery officers were sent up to the front to observe the results of their fire.
Yes.
So they're in the trenches with the infantry for a while. And you know, sometimes the Germans would be shelling the trenches, and there'd be a gap in the trench, so you had to keep down very low. Otherwise, you might be seen. Some of the trenches were fairly close to each other.
Yes. Yes.
Well, there was a gap in one place, and I was with two enlisted men, one carrying a telephone, so could call up and say what the results of the fire were.
Yes.
And there was a gap in the trench. And I went first, being the officer, and I kept down very low, and then the fellow carrying the telephone came next after me, and I assumed the Germans had seen me go across, even though I thought I'd kept out of sight.
Yes.
Because when the second man came about, a sniper hit him right in the head, and he killed instantly. So that was, if I'd been the second man,
It would have been you.
it would have been me, but being an officer, I had to be the first man.
Yes, yes. Mr. Whiteridge, would you have used the British howitzer as your gun?
Yes, 4.5 howitzers, 4.5-inch howitzers.
Yes, yes.
And a good gun, it's a good gun.
It was a pretty good gun.
Yes.
So when you first landed in Flanders, that was what you used?
That's what we had, yes.
Yes, yeah. Did you have any idea this trench war was going to last as long as it did?
No.
No.
Absolutely no idea at all. Never dreamed of it.
Yeah, yeah. And what were the living conditions like in those trenches, Mr. Whiteridge? Could you talk about that?
Well, excuse me. Well, living conditions, the trenches were pretty miserable. Divisions usually only up there for a few days. Of course, sometimes, you know, there were quiet sectors, and then it was comparatively safe, and people would take chances that they shouldn't have taken, I suppose.
Yes.
But all the conditions of I don't know, lavatories and that kind of thing, or no lavatories, just certain places where there were holes in the ground.
Yes.
And that was pretty uncomfortable.
No place to take a shower or a bath.
No, not in the trenches.
Yes.
But they were relieved every 2 or 3 days. A different company would come up.
Yes.
Then the whole division was withdrawn.
And once you were relieved, where did you go? Back to...
We went back about 20 miles behind the lines, near a place called Pofferang.
Yes.
Perhaps you heard of that.
Yes, I have. And then you'd get cleaned up and have a bath.
Cleaned up, and people, they'd lost some of their friends. They'd come in pretty depressed, but once they're there for a while, they had hot showers and rest, and started playing games. The morale was pretty good as far as I could see.
Yes, yes. Okay. Could you tell the story? There was a fort near, is it Malaga on the Mediterranean? And
Yeah, oh yes.
And it was, tell me that story.
First of all, I was at the front and actually behind the lines
Yes.
when the Franco forces split the Spanish Republican Army and conducted an attack that divided Spain in two, north and south.
Okay.
They broke through to the Mediterranean. And I was in that big retreat, 250 miles. When we arrived in Valencia, where we had a base, that is, the guerrilla outfit had a base, we were assigned immediately to the southern front, the southernmost sector of the line that divided the Republicans and the fascists.
Yes.
The reason for it was that outfit had been completely wiped out because whoever was in command took the whole outfit, went behind the lines, and wanted to disrupt communications and any kind of thing to assist in that big battle, the forces that were fighting to sustain the Spanish Republic.
Yes.
And it got wiped out. There wasn't the whole outfit got captured and killed.
Okay.
So we were sent in there to reorganize. And we went down there, and the commander of the group was an American named Alex Kunzlich, and he immediately, which was not a very good thing to do. You got to know what you're doing.
Sure, yes.
You got to have some intelligence. You got to study the front a little. He did it without any hesitation, and went behind the lines in force, almost like the preceding commander.
Yes.
And I and another American named Billy Alto, we demanded that we go with him. Now, you got to understand, there was an urgency there. The Spanish Republic was literally fighting for its very life at that moment.
Yes.
It had been split in two. You didn't know whether the army could get reorganized after the big retreat and defeat.
Yes.
There's no food coming in. It's diminishing very sharply.
Yes.
Literally starvation, not only of the army, but the population. Little children with swollen bellies, you know, and eyes running and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And so we also wanted to go in there and do exactly what the previous guerrilla outfit had done and failed. The result was that, but he insisted that we set up a camp, establish liaison with the army, et cetera, and he refused to permit myself and the other American to go with him on that operation.
Okay.
From his point of view, it was logical.
Yes.
From our point of view, a subjective point of view, meaning we just wanted to go in there and do what we could to assist.
Yes.
Also had some legitimacy, but he prevailed. He was the commanding officer. So he went up there, took most of the people with him, and got captured.
Yes.
And shot. Killed because a little while later, a Spanish deserter from the fascist forces who had been present.
Yes.
I personally spoke to him, and he said that they got captured, put up against the wall, and almost like a Hollywood film, he refused to capitulate, refused to say a word, and gave the Spanish Republican Popular Front salute, which was the clenched fist, and shouted "Viva la República" when they killed him.
They shot him.
Right.
Tell me about your first combat experience. What was that like?
Yeah, that was the one on the 28th of September, 39.
Yes.
I didn't participate in the campaign in Poland.
Okay.
We were what we called at the time on the West Wall.
Yes.
West Wall. And then there was a certain surveillance of overlooking the Maginot Line, you see,
Yes.
where the French troops went in, went out, and so, and that was done by smaller reconnaissance planes.
Yes.
And they were protected because naturally and understandably, the French didn't want that these onlookers over the Maginot Line did their work there, and so they attacked the planes. And I was second, Messerschmitt 109 at that time, was sent to protect the close reconnaissance aircraft. It was, I think, an Henschel, what we called 123.
Yes.
At that time. And during that, I got into combat. When I was attacked, and the close reconnaissance planes were attacked by about 11 P-63. That was an American-built plane. It had the name P-36.
Yeah, P-36.
P-36. He had a radial motor.
Yes.
And I think at that time that was the mainly used fighter plane in the French forces.
Yes.
And so I got into combat very, very easily, and I had a real big dogfight. My machine was faster, and
Well, they were 11 and I was 1, you see.
Yes.
Because my number 1, he disappeared. He was a young non-commissioned officer, and he lost contact with us. And I had to protect the reconnaissance plane. And then I made my first air victory during that. But when I flew direction east, it was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun was standing correctly in the west
Yes.
direction, and I had to fly east direction just after, a few seconds after I made my kill. Then I was attacked by one certainly clever man who went into the sun, and he came with a lot of speed onto me,
Yes.
behind me, and I got about 20 or 30 shots in my pilot's cabin. And at that time we didn't have panzer glass, and we didn't have armor protection in the neck, and I got a shot in the right shoulder. And I had to make a crash landing in the, what we call the region, the forefield.
Yes.
Because my plane was out of any power, and I went down and tried to set my plane onto the ground. I didn't leave the plane. And, and then I landed in a barbed wire, in a big barbed wire fence.
Yes.
And that without gear. And then afterwards I had to go into the hospital, and I was taken into the hospital for a very long time.
Yeah. How long did you stay in the hospital, Colonel?
Until May 1940.
I see.